All right, well, I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick intro here just to have plenty of time to answer the questions you guys may have today before we get started. So thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Email Marketing Essentials with Scott Clanin of Clanin Marketing. Before I hand it over to Scott, just a few quick things. If you've been here before, you've heard this whole spiel, so I'll go through it pretty quickly. You are welcome to ask questions. We just ask that you submit those via the chat box, and we will get them covered once Scott is done with his presentation, but you can submit those at any time throughout the PowerPoint. You'll also receive a follow-up email that will go out later this afternoon. It will include both a link to the Clanin Marketing website that Scott will also share, where you can download a PDF copy of the presentation and a link to the recording of today's session. We are also posting all of our webinars on our YouTube channel now, so I'll go ahead and include a link to that. So if you joined one and can't access the follow-up anymore or want to check out something that we've done recently, you can also do that. And then we do have a handful of partners on today's session that I will include links to all of their websites. So if you'd like to find out more information about them, you can. So I can go ahead and hand it over to Scott and we'll get started.
Excellent. Thank you, Jordan, and good morning. Thank you for jumping on our webinar, Email Marketing Essentials. I'll be sharing my screen, so one moment while I pull up today's presentation. All right, Jordan, just confirm, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Well, again, welcome. Today's topic is Email Marketing Essentials with partnership with the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Champaign County EDC and all of our other incredible local community partners for making today's webinar possible and free to attend. Like Jordan mentioned, my name is Scott Clanin. I am the owner of Clanin Marketing. We're a full-service marketing creative agency based in downtown Champaign, and we serve clients all across the Midwest. And we'll talk a little more about our company here in a second, but before we do, I also have a couple of housekeeping items. If you would like a PDF of today's presentation, you can visit claninmarketing.com/workshops. Just scroll about midway through the page and you're going to see a For Attendees section. Just fill out your name and email and you'll get a copy of today's presentation. In addition, for those of you who've attended one of our webinars in the past, it's great to see you again. And then for those of you who are new, welcome. We actually have a series of free marketing webinars that are available to you. Again, at the top of this website, claninmarketing.com/workshops, everything from social media best practices, branding, website design. We're going to be doing an in-person one later this year, I believe in April, at the Champaign Public Library in downtown Champaign, all about Instagram Reels. So we're here to help you on your marketing and branding and storytelling journey through just a variety of different webinars. Jordan and I will be meeting later on in the coming months to then develop a series for the probably second and third quarters of 2024. So certainly keep an eye out for that. Like I mentioned, we are a marketing creative agency. We've helped clients with just a variety of different needs they may have when they're marketing their own business. And we really started in the digital space. So our company started helping businesses back when Facebook for Business was very new. It was the wild west of digital marketing. And through the years, we've really kept an eye on everything else and kind of honed in on a variety of different digital marketing services that includes strong website design, email marketing, and then more on the creative side, the branding, the video production. I'm really excited to talk to you about email marketing because it has been around for some time, but just from working with a number of clients, a number of businesses and organizations, I will say email marketing is one that's not really utilized very well. Either people don't know how to get started or they have all these email addresses, but they have no idea how to use those. So that's why I'm excited to share with you some tips and tricks today. Like all of our webinars, I only have a little bit of time with you today. And then I want to save about 10 minutes-ish of questions and answers. So if you have any questions at any point today, feel free to use that chat box in the Zoom toolbar, and Jordan will read me those questions at the end. But let's go ahead and talk about the agenda for today. I first want to talk about the different email platforms that are available out there. I have experience in two of the ones I'll be sharing, but of course there's, like with anything, there's so many different options out there. So we're going to talk about email platforms. We're going to talk about your audience list. This is key when building an email campaign strategy. You can have a great email, you can have a great email design and messaging and deployment strategy. But if you don't have a good list built, it's just not going to work. But what are ways to grow your list? This is a question that we get asked a lot. How can I grow my list? How do I get more people interested in what I have to say? We're going to look at some metrics. We're going to talk a little bit about subject lines and email design. That's going to be a big thing as well. You could have a great list. You could have a great deployment strategy. But if your emails aren't designed very well, you're not going to get what's called good click-through rates. So we're going to talk about that. And then segments at the very end. So of course, there are a variety of different best practices when it comes to email marketing. Again, we could probably spend a whole week talking about just best practices, and each day we talk about, okay, today we're talking about subject line, the other day we're talking about email design. I formatted today's webinar based on just my personal experience with email strategies that we've done for ourselves as a company, and then email strategies, of course, for our clients. So just common things that I see are often missed, and hopefully this helps set a strong foundation. But certainly continue to do your own research and explore. There's some great resources and blogs and case studies and videos online to help you develop a really strong email marketing strategy. But hopefully we can set a good foundation for you today. Okay, let's talk about email providers. So when we're talking about email strategy, right, email marketing, when you think of email, you may think of your standard email server, right? So we use, at our company, we use Gmail as our email platform. That is, even though a lot of times for Gmail, it's at gmail.com. We have, since we're a business, we have our at claninmarketing.com, right? And so that's how we communicate with our internal team, our clients every day just through Gmail. But we don't use our Gmail account for marketing emails. Okay, same thing with Outlook. Maybe you use Microsoft Outlook for your day-to-day email. I wouldn't use that or Gmail for your marketing emails, right? This is where maybe you put everyone in BCC and send them an email. You could certainly do that, but it's not designed for email marketing purposes. These are just four, yes, we could say common email providers: Constant Contact, MailChimp, MailerLite, and I think you said Bravo, formerly Sendinblue. So if you're on one of these, my webinars in the past, we've made mention Sendinblue. They have recently rebranded. I have personal experience in Constant Contact and MailChimp. These are your two big ones. They've been around for a while. They have some great plug and play templates. They're very intuitive. Any system you go with is very intuitive, very easy to get up and running. And a lot of times they do have free options to get started with. So if you only have a certain number of contacts in your email list and you want to send a marketing email, there's a good chance that there's a free option available to you in these platforms. Now, of course, as you start adding thousands upon thousands of email addresses, you want to then maybe do more of a custom design and just more elevated options. Of course, there are then tiered priced subscription models within these platforms. The one that we use at our company for ourselves, for our own newsletter, is MailChimp. I really like that platform. I'll be sharing some screenshots with you today taken from that platform. But again, a lot of the functionality that you'll see in MailChimp is very common functionality that you'll see in these other four. And I will say there are more than just these other four. Some of you may be using a third-party template-based website for your own website. Let's say like Wix or Squarespace. These are great platforms for people who don't have a lot of money to spend when they are building a website for the first time. Or maybe Wix and Squarespace checks all your needs. You don't need a big fancy thing or a big fancy website. But oftentimes on the back end of those are built-in email marketing systems. Okay, so you're not going to use Outlook or Gmail, but yet you don't even need to use these. You can use the built-in version that comes with your back end of your website template provider to send marketing emails. And what's great is that they can help organize emails. You can track to see open rates and everything. They have a little bit of some design functionality in those, but that's another option that's available to you as well. So again, if you operate off of a template-based website like a Wix, a Squarespace, I I don't know if GoDaddy has it on the back end of their website provider. Again, you may have some options available to you. If not, turn to a system, turn to another platform like one of these four or other ones that you may find that is designed for marketing emails. And you're going to see why here in a little bit. But again, this is just to start. Here are some email providers that are out there available to you. Okay, let's talk about your audience list, right? So once you identify a good email marketing platform, and that really all eventually just takes some research, right? Watch some videos, read some articles, look to see if maybe there's a little back end or a demonstration to see what feels good for your business. But next, let's really think about your audience list or your tags. So who are your different audience groups and what types of messages or content are you looking to share? Now, for some of you on the call, you may just say, you know what? I just have one list. I just want to email my customers. Perfect. You can easily do that. But let's say you have your nonprofit organization on the call and you're looking to do a fundraising push, okay? Then you might be able to break people off to different segments into different lists. Maybe you have one list of big donors. These are people that have donated to your organization multiple times over the years. Maybe put them in a separate list because then when you send an email, you want to make sure that email, that messaging is speaking to that group. That's key with any marketing strategy you develop. It's all about making sure you develop the right message and it gets in front of the right person at the right time. And so breaking these lists up are going to help you manage your messaging. So for us, we're a B2B, a business to business, and then some of you on the call may be a B2C, a business to consumer. So we are a service-based business. We don't offer a physical product that we develop and make, but we offer a service. So what are our lists? We right now have two. We have one list just for our clients, our active clients, and then we have one list that we just call those subscribers. People that want to hear from us, they want to learn some tips and tricks. That is our subscriber list. So again, really think about, if you looked at all of your emails from a high level, is there an opportunity to break them up a little bit? And does it make sense to break it up? Maybe it wouldn't make sense to break it up. Maybe you just have one core big list. Really think about what are the different messages I'm looking to send out, and who are the people that I want to send that message to. Okay. The big thing when it comes to any email marketing platform is, again, developing your list of email addresses, the first name, maybe last name of the individual. What's really nice in these systems is that you could do a mass upload of all your emails at once. So if you use maybe your POS, for those on the call who are retail-based business, you have a point of sale system. Maybe that point of sale system can help export a contact list, a shopper list, a marketing list with their email, first name, and last name. Maybe you have the old school buy your counter, the clipboard, sign up for our newsletter and get 10% off today or something. And then you manually enter those into an Excel form. Really, the Excel form is the kind of standard when it comes to importing context, specifically the CSV file. So let's say if you don't have a way to export all of your emails from, maybe you've gathered them over here, maybe they're on this computer on this file. One of the things I would recommend is let's work to condense that down. So let's maybe open up Excel or a Google Sheets, I think is Google's equivalent, and create columns. So one column you're going to have email address, excuse me, my voice is going out. Email address. Another column you have first name, and then maybe another column you have last name. Okay, but make sure that each of those three are broken up into individual columns and you title what that column is. So you see in this screenshot here, we have email address, first name, and last name. When you go to save it, make sure you save it as a CSV file. This is the file type that a lot of these email platforms do accept. So then when you import it all, it'll say, great, we got it from here. We can see all the emails. We can see all the names. We will assign these names with these email addresses. This helps because, and we'll talk about this later, when you personalize an email in your mass email marketing system, you obviously, let's say if you're sending 100 emails to different people, you're not having to go in and type in each person's, hi, Scott, hi, Bob. You're basically telling the system, hi, and then in certain brackets or a certain format that that provider will tell you, you'll say first name. And then the system will, okay, we'll send it to all these emails, but then we'll put in first name from that column. So for this one, we have Maya White, and then we have M White at student, et cetera, et cetera. So it will send it to that email address, but at the greeting tag, or even in the subject line, where it says, hi, Scott, get 10% off your next order. Those personal callouts, and again, we'll talk about that in the next section here, help with open rates. Anytime you can call someone out by their first name, it just helps personalize the message a bit, humanize it a bit more, so it doesn't feel like a mass sales message. But to do that, you're going to want to make sure that all of your lists are categorized very nicely between these three columns here. Okay. Let's talk about growing your list, because this is the big thing. And when I love email. Let's maybe pause here for a moment. I love email marketing because outside of your time to send an email, okay, and as long as you're using a free version, you're not having to pay for some sort of swanky version of MailChimp or Constant Contact, there's no cost to send an email, okay? So when you boost a post on Facebook, you run a campaign on Facebook and Instagram, you run a billboard campaign or a bus board campaign or commercial radio, you get it. The minute you're done paying for that, it's over, right? That campaign's done. Your messaging's not getting out there. But you control how often you send an email. You control what's in that email. And again, there's no cost outside of other things, right? A bigger subscription and your time, of course. There's no cost to send an email. So, and there's no limit to how many people you can have in your list. So you want to constantly be growing that list because then those are people that want to hear from you. Okay, so let's talk about some ideas and ways to grow your list. Of course, an easy one, collect emails in store, at trade shows, events. So are you attending or sponsoring an event? Maybe set goals for you and your team to collect a certain number of emails. I've been to kind of some touristy kind of communities, and a lot of times they, again, have that just old school clipboard, column sheet with a pen, and I get a certain percentage off order if I write in my name and email that day at the register. At the end of the night, the person behind the desk goes in and adds in all those emails into their database. So even if it's 5 people that you get, that's 5 more people, 5 more eyes that are on your content really at no cost unless you give some sort of incentive. So again, what are unique ways that you collect emails in store? I have another idea for in store that I'll share with you in a bit. Sign up forms and pop-ups. This is big. Now, some of you on the call may think, I hate pop-ups. And listen, I'm not a huge fan of them either, but they have to be done correctly. You don't want to go to a website where you first sign on the website and then immediately you get a pop-up. Wait a little bit. A lot of times, if you're working with a developer or if you're doing it yourself, you can set the trigger, basically saying, okay, after this user hits my website and they stay on my website for 30 seconds, for a minute, have this pop-up then pop up. So these forms and pop-up windows Great way for someone to then sign up on your list, but give them a reason why. You'll see this Kate Spade example here. Um, Again, it's a little more friendly language. Why, hello there. Enjoy 15% off plus free shipping on your next purchase when you join our mailing list. Look at the aesthetic of the pop-up. What's the first thing that you see? What's the first thing that your eye goes to? It's that 15% off, right? And then you have that kind of blend of serif and sans serif fonts. It says enter your email, enter your zip code, and then right there, what we call your call to action button. Instead of saying sign up, they're reinforcing what that percentage off deal by saying get my 15% off. Or no thanks. You can click that or the exit X sign up there at the top and it'll close out that pop-up. So think about ways to maybe integrate some unique language, some incentives on your website when you do sign up for your email. Offering bonus content. So start by offering users beginner content advice on a subject, then offer bonus content for more advanced tips when they can access by submitting their email address. So I've seen this a lot too with certain influencers online, content creators, designers, where they'll kind of give out freebies. But if you want more of maybe the freebie is a one sheet of ways to develop your brand in a week, right? I'm just thinking out loud here. But maybe by signing up for their email, you can get access to the more in-depth version where it's by chapter and talk about brand messaging and brand identity, right? So maybe you offer bonus content, the kind of the insiders club, if you will, if you do sign up for email addresses. And the next one here, maybe you are giving away something, offering freebies. So require participants to sign up with their email address and give them additional entries when they share the giveaway on social media. You have to be a little careful of that, depending on the rules and language. Just make sure you do look up what some of the latest rules are with Facebook if you want to start integrating social media with some sort of giveaway. But I love that too. So, hey, if you're okay with us marketing to you, of course, let them know that, okay, when you sign up for this, you're signing up to receive our newsletter. But when you do that, maybe you get entered to win something, right? So what are some giveaways? What are some freebies? Of course, running Facebook and Instagram ads. So you can do that. A lot of times people run ads to get people to their website, to get people to call them. But what about a ad to just get people to sign up for your email? This is great for more like community-based newsletters, right? Maybe your newsletter is all about, hey, these are all the top events happening in the county this weekend or this month. What are ways that you can maybe run some ads on social media to again encourage people to sign up for your email list? The next one I love, and I've seen this work very well. We actually had a client do this. For those on the call who have a brick and mortar store and you offer free Wi-Fi to your clients or to your customers, coffee shops, kind of fast service restaurants, or even restaurants themselves, whatever it may be, you offer Wi-Fi to your patrons. Here's an opportunity for you to collect their email. So in trade of giving our customers free Wi-Fi, you just need to log on, and we just need your name and your email address. Sometimes your name, email, and birthday. Of course, they opt in to receive marketing emails, but in exchange, they get unlimited access to the Wi-Fi at our business. But then as you, the business owner, you get access to all those metrics. And so the client that used this at the time, I don't know if they still offer it or not, but it was through actually Yelp. Yelp offered a Yelp Wi-Fi system. And certainly if you're interested in this, work with your internet provider to see what are some ways that we collect customer data from our Wi-Fi. But we were able to run reports, and these reports were incredible. People that had birthdays coming up over the next month, we could send them a targeted birthday email or birthdays that month. People that haven't been in a while, maybe they haven't been in 5 or 6 months. Let's send them a little reminder email or some sort of incentive to come back. We could also run reports of people who come in all the time. Are there ways to reward them or simply thank them? Again, you don't want to be overly creepy by appearing that we're monitoring you and we know how often you come in, but use the data strategically. Um, and this helps you, again, develop messaging that could be relevant to that individual. Okay. So we look at, again, Yelp Wi-Fi was a system we use, but certainly work with your internet provider. Are there ways that you collect customer data and customer emails so then you can send some targeted marketing emails along the way? And honestly, it never hurts to ask. So asking nicely never hurts. Tap into your online following and ask them to join your mailing list. Think about your social media pages, for example, right? Maybe some of you have Instagram, Facebook, combination of both. I would assume that you've increased your following over the past, let's just say 6 months. Maybe you've had some new followers. Every once in a while, even if it's once a month, once every other month, put out a link for people to sign up to your email form. If you use Constant Contact, if you use MailChimp, a lot of times they give you a little like pre-designed link that you can change the background. So if I click that link, a form pops up and it's just name. You can do first name, last name. You don't have to ask for last name. Excuse me, but first name, email, submit, sign up. What's great is that it will then generate that link that then you can share to your social media pages. And then that could just be that simple ask, that simple reminder of like, hey, are you not on our list yet? There's that sense of FOMO, that fear of missing out. So what are ways that you can, add some language of you're really missing out on our conversations online, our great deals that are available to only our newsletter subscribers. Sign up today. So it never hurts to just simply ask. Let's talk about some metrics here, right? So we talked about some platforms that you could explore. Talked a little bit about the idea of separating your audience list and ways to just some simple ideas of ways to grow your list. But the beauty of digital marketing is all about metrics, and you have metrics really at all times at your fingertips. Metrics help us make informed decisions. So back in the day, when more traditional forms of marketing, it was harder to track unless if you say, mention this, bring in this coupon. But now we can really look at, okay, if we're running, even if we run a billboard ad and a commercial ad and a radio ad, we can then pull website metrics and look at, gosh, are we now seeing an uptick in traffic to our website? Out of that, how many, of the percentage of traffic, how many of those are new first-time users that have never been to our website? Same thing with email marketing. You can send an email, but what happens? And this is one of the reasons why you shouldn't use Outlook or shouldn't use Gmail as your marketing database, because you don't get the metrics. You don't really see how many people end up opening that email. And there's no way for the user to unsubscribe, which we'll talk about here in a bit. One of the metrics that I would like you to track is what's called your open rate. This is the number that shows what percentage of your audience opens the email that you send them. A very good open rate usually means that it's an audience that wants to hear from you. You have a great subject line, or maybe you've really honed in on a great day of the week and great time of the day, which we'll talk about. So right now across all industries, an average open rate is about 21, 22%. It may seem low, but again, no cost to send this. It's unlike, maybe you do an every door direct mailer through the post office and it goes through everyone's post box. That there's a fixed cost involved in that. There's nothing to send this email, and you got about 20-some people in your list to open it. Now it may be higher. We've seen open rates skyrocket before, and it's because you have a very high quality mix of people in your list. Just like the number of Facebook followers or Instagram followers, it's not about the quality of people that are on your list it's not about the quantity of people on your list or the quantity of followers on Facebook or Instagram. It's about the quality of followers. So again, don't worry if it's like, gosh, I only have 100 people on my list. I would rather take 100 quality people that are more open and very interested in opening your emails than 800 non-quality people that really don't want to hear from you, you're not really going to get a whole lot of open rates. So really don't worry about the number. Just think about, is this a good mix of people that are going to want to be on my email list? So right now your average open rate, again, 21 to about 22%. And these email platforms will give you all these metrics on the back end, so you can view in real time how your email is performing. Now, of course, there are different percentages by industry. Now, some of these percentages change over the years, so you can certainly keep an eye on it, but you can see for the most part, they're around the same. So retail, about 18%, all the way up to about nonprofit organizations, a little higher than industry average. Again, that 21.33% is a blended average for all industries, but nonprofits are a little higher, coming in at about 25%. So you can look at when you're, kind of self-evaluating performance in your own email marketing strategies. You can look at average open rates across all industries, and then you can also poll your specific industry and compare it against that. If you're getting a sad open rate, right, what's happening? It could be a mix of things. One of them, your subject line. If you really think about it, your subject line is really why you open an email. There's been a number of kind of sales emails that I get, kind of signed up for so many things over the years, and half of them I don't open, right? But if the subject line is good and it's from a business organization, a company that I know, I trust, and I follow, and I enjoy their content, and if the subject line is good, there's a good chance I'm probably going to open that, okay? So again, if bad open rates, you may not have a quality mix of people on the list. Low open rate, again, could be poor subject line, and we'll talk about subject line here in a bit. So think about your average open rate, again, blended one, and then across your industry average. The other metric to think about when it comes to email marketing. So once they open the email, a lot of times within the email, there's a call to action, meaning that there's some sort of prompt we want them to do. There's a button in there. There's something hyperlinked in there. Maybe you have a big fundraising event coming up, a big annual fundraiser event. Maybe you have an open house. You're doing a mixer or after hours wine event at your business, or a late night sip and shop. You want to take RSVPs. A lot of times, again, we have a call to action. We want people to sign up for this. We want people to register. We want people to go to our website and buy this. Once they open an email, that's your open rate. But once they're on your email and they click something within your email, that's called a click rate. And an average click rate is just under 3%. May seem low, but again, that's just the nature of email. Those are just the percentage. So again, blended average right now is 2.62%, and then that can vary by different industries, okay? So again, if you're achieving above both of these percentage marks, great. You have a great subject line. You must have great content in your email if you continue to get strong open rates. Now, the other thing to think about too is if you send an email and you get out the gate, you're spot on with your open rate percentage, you're spot on with your click rate percentage, but as time goes on, you see these numbers start to decrease. Why? So that tells me that we need to reevaluate maybe the design of your email, reevaluate the content in your email, because as you continue to send emails and you see these numbers start plummeting, this tells me that your content's just not relevant, and that's okay. That's the beauty of digital marketing. We can make changes on the fly so that we can continue to improve. So these are your benchmarks. This is what I would like you to shoot for as you start diving into your email marketing strategies. And we kind of went over this, but again, to have it, a low open rate, subject line not relevant, you maybe have way too many subscribers, your messaging isn't honed, you may be sending, I didn't talk about this one, maybe you're sending too many emails, okay? You don't want to bombard people with emails, and you don't want to become annoying, right? What we did, at least for ours, we only did our email once a month when we were doing our newsletter at the time. So we would always send it the first of the month. I'll tell you a little more about our strategy here in a bit. But maybe you're sending a couple a week, and that might be too much. So maybe back off a little bit. So you might be sending too many or too few emails. Again, maybe you've only been sending an email once every other quarter or once a quarter. You're not really keeping in the front of people's minds. Maybe you're sending your email at poor times. I'm going to give you the best day and time of the week to send an email. Maybe you're sending emails out Monday morning or Friday, late morning, early afternoon. You're not going to get good open rates. You're not going to get good click rates on Monday or Fridays. Again, ways to improve, we kind of went over these. Create content that's useful to most subscribers. Make a link text more descriptive. So instead of saying click here, think about that Kate Spade one. Get 15% off. Get my tickets today, right? A little more descriptive in your call to action buttons. And maybe you have multiple links on your page. Okay, so let's say if we have that sip and shop event at your place of business and you're taking registration for that event, you have your email, maybe you have the button there at the top, but then your email goes on, maybe talks about the event, and then it has maybe a link to your social media accounts. Also put that button to your registration at the bottom of your email. It's good to kind of fold in your call to action and sprinkle that in throughout the email. You don't want to bombard it with 20 different buttons. But again, maybe top and maybe bottom of the email, depending on the length of the email, would be great to put that call to action in. Okay, I'm going to take a quick drink because I feel like my voice is going, and then we'll go to the next slide here. All right. When to send an email. So I've been following this for a while, and I do check it at least once a year just to see, has this changed? And historically, this has not changed. The best day of the week to send an email is Tuesdays and Thursdays, and best time to send an email is around 10 and 11 o'clock. In a way, this somewhat makes sense, right? You never want to send a marketing email on a weekend. You can see kind of what the graph looks like for Saturday and Sunday. Friday, we're all mentally checked out, aren't we? It's okay to say it. We don't want to work on Friday. Who does? And so we really aren't plugged in, right? We might be ignoring our emails. A lot of us take Fridays off for a longer weekend, take off early. We're just not in the mindset to open our email. I think the email is the last thing that we want to look at on a Friday. On Monday, Monday is maybe about the same as Friday, maybe a little bit higher. But again, on Monday, we're coming off the weekend, getting our week planned. We're busy just catching up maybe through some emails that came in over the weekend. Your marketing email may be ignored. But on Tuesday, Thursday, again, these are times that we're kind of locked into the week. We have the rhythm going. We're opening our emails right before lunch is, again, historically the best time to send that email. Does this work for every single person? Not necessarily. This is just kind of a blended average from many different studies that have been done on when is the best day and time to send an email. What we've done for ours is when we did a monthly newsletter, we always send ours on the first Tuesday of every month at 10 o'clock. And so when that email would sent out, we always got very good open rates. Our click rates were kind of all over the place. Sometimes it was contingent on the content that we were sharing at the time. But for the most part, we had strong click rates and strong open rates. What we would then do is resend the email. We'll talk about this in a second. Well, we resent the email again on Thursday to only the people who didn't open it on Tuesday. And I'm going to show you how we did that. And that really helped improve our open rates as well. And again, key takeaways, Tuesday, Thursday, 10 to 11. Avoid sending emails on the weekend. Of course, like with anything with digital marketing, test it, see how it goes. If you're not getting a whole lot of good traction and you've tried different subject lines Tuesdays and Thursdays, try Wednesday. Try maybe later on in the afternoon. Again, everyone on the call, we all have different buckets of audiences, right? We all are targeting different demographics. So maybe it makes sense to adjust that time to when your audience is more prone to be on their phone, more prone to check their email online. Okay, we're going to talk about subject lines here. We have about 20 minutes here, so I want to make sure we get through the next slides. Subject lines, as we've seen, are key to strong open rates. This is the first thing, our kind of foot in the door, if you will, when we get into someone's inbox. And the other reason why I like email marketing is not only because you can, of course, track metrics, have fun with some subject lines, but you are in the forefront of that person's mind at least once a month. And that was one of the reasons why we did our newsletter. Of course, the goal of our newsletter is to share tips and tricks and new updates that are coming out from Google and Facebook and Instagram. But if anything, we were in their inbox at least once a month. So even though they may not have a need for our services today, we hope that just by being in their inbox, when they do have that need, we want to be top of mind. So another great example of why email is a good strategy. There's been some studies done on personalization when it comes to subject lines. Again, this only works if you do upload a list or format your list in Constant Contact, MailChimp, or whatever platform you use. Email, first name, last name. You don't have to do last name. You could just do first name. So you can see down here in the middle where it says congratulations and then F name, L name. Again, that's that format. You're telling the system, hey, MailChimp, hey, Constant Contact, I would like you to put this user's first name here. So congratulations, Scott. I've gotten some emails where it literally says this. My name's not in it. Something's wrong. They don't have my first name, so I get this. Now, you don't want that. So really make sure that your lists are clean up and organized. Another one, TED 2014, invitation to register for Scott Clanin. Again, I go back and forth on last name because people don't like sometimes seeing their last name on things. So like, how do you know that? First name's a little more personal, a little more, again, that kind of human tone. But from this name personalization, again, it's all about trial and error. So first and last name, it looks like in this example here, you did get more open rates when it's just first name, just last name, or just first name. Again, I would debate this just a little bit. This is a study that MailChimp has done. You can certainly try first and last name, but I've also seen some studies where you have equally good open rates if you just use first name. At the end of the day, it's good to personalize. Whether you use first and last or whether you use just first name, you don't need to do it for every email, but really when you really want to make that connection, really want to go in for that ask for fundraising, invite someone to something, add in that personalization there. And then be descriptive in your subject line. Don't or don't sell. You want to tell, right? So don't make it into some sort of salesy tactic. Use Chat GPT. I think Jordan and I might be working on some sort of ways to use artificial intelligence for marketing, as we use it almost daily now for our operations. But ChatGPT is a free AI tool that can help you think of phrases and words that you may have never thought of. And this could help you write some really engaging subject lines, as long as you feel like it fits within your brand messaging and tone. Count characters. Again, a lot of these email systems will give you a character limit on how many characters you have to work with in your subject lines. You don't want to be overly long at all. You might want to have some fun with emojis here. So you can kind of see these are some from Wayfair that I thought were fun. They added in just some red dots, or the money bag for mega sales. Again, you can be playful with some emojis. Again, it comes down to just your brand tone, your brand messaging. Would I use the little money bag icon for BC Bank or some sort of professional financial institution? Probably not. But if it was a younger financial institution that was targeting kind of Gen Z or millennials or something, maybe, right? It all comes down to your brand messaging and brand tone. There haven't been a whole lot of studies yet on using emojis within subject lines. I'm certainly keeping an eye on it, but certainly try it. I think it's really fun. We've used it, so anytime we send out monthly newsletters, so our emoji always went with that kind of what was happening in the season. So in December, we always send it with like a little snowflake. In the fall, we always did like a leaf or something, because ours was Clanin Marketing or October newsletter or October news or something like that. Numbers and data is a great way to get your email noticed. And so it could be like 50% off, buy one, get one free, things like that. There's also a lot of studies, and this is kind of fun if you want to do some research on certain phrases and words to use. Freebie performs a lot better than just the word free in the subject line. I think it's because the marketing industry has abused the word free over the years because we really know it's not really free. Typically, I have to put in my credit card or buy this or do this demo, and then I get something free. But freebie, that really does sound like something is free to me. So again, there's a lot of different words, phrases. It certainly impacts a lot of industries. Free actually then works better for these industries here. So look at the end of the day, look at different phrases, subject line best practices, maybe for your industry, and what are words and phrases that have a better impact on your overall open rates. Words that imply time sensitivity are good as well. Urgent, breaking, important, something that's time sensitive, you might need to get that across in your subject line. That can certainly help with your open rates as well. Again, announcements, so announcement, invitation, invited, but words like reminder, canceled, they may not, again, have a very good impact on your overall open rate. And for those on the call who are fundraising, this is challenging. Fundraising through email marketing is hard, but it can be done. The word helping has the best impact compared to donate. And I think it's because we do get a lot of emails come through with the word donate. So again, if you are a nonprofit or if you work in some sort of fundraising role, again, there's a lot of resources online as well that will just help you with what are best practices with those words or phrases that I can use in my subject lines to have the highest impact in my open rate. All right, we have about 10 minutes here, so if you haven't already, feel free to start dropping your questions in the chat. I do want to zip through email design because this is also extremely important. Like we talked earlier, you can have a great list, a great number of quality people on your list. You're sending out at the right time of the day, the right day of the week. You have a really good subject line, but you could have a really poor email design. And I've seen all those things happen. Like they're on the surface, they're doing everything right, but the email design does not look good. And I really don't want to read into it because it's either challenging to read, very messy, it's not on brand. Think about what your message is. You don't want to flood this email with a lot of different things to talk about. For us, it was a theme of what's happening in the marketing industry, specifically more digital marketing. And so we would always do an opening statement and then 3 high-level updates and then upcoming events. And we kept it clean. That's how we focused our messaging. Create a hierarchy. So if you know for this after hours event that you're having and you want to create a reservation list or registration sign up, that's your most important thing to get across. That's your most important call to action. Place that at the top. And certainly break it up. I've seen a lot in the emails that I don't like that come in and they're just hard to read. They're paragraph upon paragraph, tiny font, line spacing is very tight. There's no divider sections at all. And when I see that, I don't want to read it. And so break it up by good titles. So have, a higher text, kind of like that Kate Spade example, that 15% off really punched out. Same thing with your email titles. What can we do to break up your content with this kind of bolder title text? Keep it short and sweet. The marketing industry is really kind of shifting towards less is more. Think about like anymore online, it's these short format videos that we're watching. When it comes to website design, copy that we would write before the pandemic is not copy we would write today. It's shorter the better. So people spend less than 15 seconds reading marketing emails. Keep it short, keep it sweet, and prioritize your content from top to bottom. Make sure you leave a lot of white space and breathing room. I'm a huge fan of white space. I think it just helps make content a lot easier to read. So don't cram everything in, give it some breathing room, add some spacer and divider sections between content, again, so it doesn't feel like it's all stacked on top of each other. Big thing to remember, a lot of people are using their phones to read your email, and there's only so much real estate we have on our phone screen compared to right now I'm viewing this on I have a humongous iMac screen, and it's huge. But if I read your email here compared to my phone, I'm not going to have a whole lot of room on my phone. So leave some breathing room between your sections and align your content. You don't want to have everything center aligned and have paragraphs that I have to read. Maybe left align things. Keep it structured and keep it organized. Let's talk about fonts for a second. Best practice when it comes to text size within emails, keep it between 14 to 16 point range. I know with like Microsoft Word, when you're writing a document, 8 point is the absolute minimum, and that's really common in the graphic design industry. You don't want to go below 8 point font. But in email, we need to bump it up a little bit. So email best practice, keep it between 14 to 16. Make sure that you don't get crazy with your fonts. I've seen a lot of emails where I could probably call out 4 or 5 different fonts. They're using 4 or 5 different colors. And what happens? It makes it messy. Your messaging is lost because it just looks cluttered. Big thing, make sure if you have a brand, do you have brand fonts already established for your brand identity? Are you tracking those? A lot of times when we're working with clients, we realize that they don't have brand standards set. What's your header text? What's your body text that you use for all of your material? What happens, it creates a consistent look and feel. So use your fonts, use branded assets, excuse me, and photos. Make sure you put your logo in there. Make sure that you're using your brand colors. So a lot of times we have the RGB code of your hex code of your color. You can add all that custom color in there. So for us, we always did titles in our Clanin blue, and then our buttons in our Clanin blue, and then everything else in a darker gray. It just kept everything very nice and consistent. It really matches what you see here on the PowerPoint. Again, know what you want your call to actions to be. Be clear, motivate people to act, and of course, make it obvious. You see the one on the right-hand side, you have that call to action at the top. That is your biggest one. That is, again, the hierarchy that you need to keep in mind when you are developing an email. Something to know, and I do want to just kind of go through these last 2 slides quickly so we have time for questions. A lot of times email systems now have something called landing pages. So if you do have a website, but maybe your website maybe is a little harder to get a new page up and running, or you just want one page to talk about this one special that we have going on. One example, we're working with a client that has a big sale coming up that's going to be running March through May. And we're running radio and bus board ads and commercials. And you can go to the website, of course, and visit the page, or you could have a separate landing page just all about that campaign. So the copy is very focused about the offer, very focused about the deal. And these email systems actually provide you the option to develop a landing page all within your email marketing system. So you don't need to go in the back end of your website and try to open a new page or duplicate a new page. Okay, and the last slide I want to go through is, this is a little more advanced, but I want to kind of plant that seed real quick so you can do a little more research down the road. I mentioned earlier that our strategy was sending it on the first Tuesday of the month. And then 2 days later, we would resend it to the people who did not open it the first time. That's key, do not open it the first time, because we don't want to just resend it to the list again, because you're going to have people that open it the first time. Why are they sending me this email again? What will happen? They're going to start unsubscribing from you, and you don't want that. So this is a screenshot from MailChimp, and this is what's called segmenting. So if we work from top to bottom, left to right, our audience, this is our client newsletter. We were sending this to clients, and we want to group a segment. And this segment contains any of the following conditions. The campaign, we want to do campaign activity. They did not open, and then the last newsletter. So you can't set this up ahead of time. You have to send the first email out first and then tell the system, okay, let's do it again, but only to the people who did not open it the first time. So what happened? On that second email, we had an average open rate of about 14%. Now you may be saying, hey, that's lower than your industry average. But again, it's fine because it's the second email. The first email we hit average, but we wanted to push it a little bit further and get in front of people who didn't open the first time. Again, maybe they just got bombarded with emails that day, they got busy, they just didn't get to it. So it's nice to send that little reminder. If you send the first email and they didn't open it, you send the second one to the people who didn't open it and they still didn't open that second one, and then they unsubscribe, don't worry. It's okay if people start unsubscribing a bit. Now, of course, you don't want to waive unsubscriptions, but every once in a while you will get someone who unsubscribed. Maybe they forgot they signed up for your newsletter. Maybe it just wasn't relevant to them, okay? If you get a flood of people that are saying, hey, this isn't relevant to me, then let's look at content. But it's okay if people unsubscribe because it's all about, again, the quality, not quantity of people on your list. And then some of these, real quick here, spam filters. We get some questions of how do I avoid spam filters? Constant contact surveillance may be different. This is a screenshot from MailChimp. We check a box that says personalize the to field. So when I see the email come in through like my personal Gmail account, it says to Scott Clanin instead of to scott@claninmarketing.com. That just helps personalize that little to field. That could help as well. You want to make sure that you are sending it to people who did subscribe and they do know they are on your marketing list. And then stay compliant. So just make sure people understand that, yeah, they're on this list and they know that they're going to get some marketing emails from you. You don't want to just buy emails or put them on a list and email them and get a wave of unsubscriptions. You could get in trouble for that. So just stay compliant and then just do what you can to make sure that they are aware that they'll be getting marketing emails from you. All right, so that brings it, look at that, 2 minutes to spare. So apologize, I went a little bit over. We may have some questions that came in, but hopefully this was a great webinar to really, again, set the foundation for some key best tips and practices when it comes to a strong email marketing foundation. Think about the platform, think about your audience list, ways to grow your audience list. You can really have fun with it if you want to brainstorm some ideas with your team. Think about your messaging, your subject lines, and then consistently monitor your metrics to make sure that, hey, this is working well, and here's why it is working, because we are achieving above average open rates, and maybe we're starting to see some increase in queries that come through phone, email, maybe we're seeing an increase in sales on our website, whatever it may be, but this is, again, will help you really set a strong foundation for your future email marketing strategy. So I'll hand it over to Joy to see if we had any quick questions, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Thank you, Scott. Right now we do have one question submitted, and then I also have one that I would like to ask. But the first one says, coming from a nonprofit organization, what is the best free program to use for email marketing?
I pause because I don't know if there is an email platform out there specifically designed for nonprofits. I do know that a lot of email systems do offer, I don't know, maybe a lot, but some platforms out there might have like a nonprofit discount if you're able to prove that you are a nonprofit organization with your like articles of incorporation. But I don't know if there's a specific one just for nonprofit organizations. That is a great question. The one I recommend to clients all the time is MailChimp because it is very easy to work with and it integrates very well with other third-party platforms out there.
All right, we did get another one submitted, so I want to get that answered first. It says MailChimp announced recently if the email address you use to email from is a Gmail, they will switch your address to a MailChimp address as Gmail knows you're not using Gmail to send that. What's your take on this?
That is a good question. I personally have not experienced that yet or really dove through that. I don't know. Um, let me pull up, let me just read the question again. Switch your email address to a MailChimp address that Gmail knows you're not using. What's your take on this? Yeah, if they recently announced it, I guess the one thing the one thing I always look at are studies, because a lot of these systems like MailChimp, HubSpot's a big marketing provider. They do a ton of different studies, and that's how we get industry average benchmarks. If MailChimp did that, I would think it wouldn't necessarily hurt your open rates, because I would be surprised if they did that and all of a sudden now your send emails coming from MailChimp and you're not getting good open rates. I would think they would revert back to how it was, or people would be jumping ship off of the MailChimp platform. So that's a great question. It's one that I personally, it sounds like I need to do a little research on to see kind of what that recent announcement is and how it is impacting. But if it is recent, I would say there's probably not a whole lot of studies out there to see what the impact is. But that's a great question. That's something I'll probably need to look into as well.
All right, and then we don't have any more submitted, but just the one that I wanted to ask for both myself and the group is we commonly share like the link to our newsletter on socials after we send it. And our thought process is it may get people to sign up knowing what we're sending out, but also it's easy to kind of share bulk information. Do you have any thoughts on that? Is that a pro, con? Should we stop doing that?
Yeah, so just to make sure I'm understanding, so after a webinar, you send out the link, correct, to your social media accounts, the link to the newsletter?
After we send a newsletter, like our monthly one, we post then the link to that newsletter on social so someone can click on it through and go to the constant contact version
Yeah,
of the newsletter.
I do like that sequence because it's like against the fear of missing out, right? So it's like, hey, we just sent this out. If you're not on it, or if you missed it, be sure that you're on this list. And again, that kind of goes back to the recommendation of if you have new followers over time, doing that little reminder every once in a while. Again, it doesn't hurt at all. You know, it's no cost to make that post. Of course, I wouldn't do it all the time, but doing that little reminder is great. So I think that's a solid strategy, Jordan.
Perfect, thank you. We got another question. Our nonprofit recently received this. What is it all about? We changed your from address to meet new industry requirements. We'll be sending your emails with our at shared1.ccsend.com domain. This ensures your emails will continue to reach your contacts. And then it gives an example. And they were just curious if you have any additional information on the change and what that means for them.
That's the same question as MailChimp. Yeah. That was from Constant Contact. Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like this is a change that's happening now in the industry. And one that, again, we haven't had any issues from our clients, because I know we have a handful of clients that use specifically MailChimp and Constant Contact. The only thing I could think of is you know, so for those who are still on the call and these questions are coming in, right? When you send an email from MailChimp and from Constant Contact, before you can then set where you want the email to come from. And a lot of times a lot of people would just put in like their info account, or I could put it in as like my personal email address, and then it would look like it's coming from me. And it sounds like there's now this change that's happening where instead of you putting in the email that you want it to send to, it will automatically kind of generate a specific email that it's coming from. Now, that could be a security issue. That could be a security thing where the user getting your email, they know it's coming from this marketing platform. That could be it. I have the chat pulled up as well, and it looks like some of the options they give you: confirm or change your .blank.com from address, or self-authenticate your own domain. And again, when I hear that self-authenticate your own domain, that kind of goes back to security protocol. It might be saying we need to prove that this is a legitimate business, that this is a legitimate domain, and you're not spamming people. That's kind of where my mind goes right now, is that it's simply security, safety protocols for the end user to understand that this is a legitimate person using a legitimate platform. And if not, then maybe they assign you a certain uh, email address, right? So these are great questions. I apologize I didn't have that information in here. It sounds like this is new. One of the things I certainly recommend is, if Constant Contact is saying to self-authenticate your domain, that tells me that there is still an option to use the email that you wanted to use. And you may need to go through the self-authentication process, which I don't know what that process is, right? A lot of times it's something with code that you need to put on the back end of your website in the header footer to prove that you are the admin, you do own that website. But without really diving into it in depth, I really don't know what that self-authentication process is. But again, the big thing to think about at the end of the day is just if they are switching your email over to a different domain, right? Keep an eye on open rates, keep an eye on click rates, and see if that's affecting anything. This is something we Clanin will certainly keep an eye out for future email marketing webinars as well, because I'm curious to see if this change, if it is safety protocol procedural, to see if it is impacting MailChimp customers, right? Because if this is a negative change, then we're not going to want to use these email systems anymore. But yeah, so that's, again, just kind of my quick thoughts on that.
We did get a comment that it looks like someone may have done a quick Google search, and it
Sure.
is a step that they're taking, to prevent spam and phishing and
Sure.
things like that. So yeah, it does sound like you could probably get your original email back. I will say we have like a paid for Constant Contact, and we have not seen this yet pop up for us. We send emails pretty regularly, so it may also just be maybe like on the free versions of Constant Contact or whatever. They're just being a little more careful with who's making those accounts.
And that's an excellent point. Again, anymore, everything is like a tiered subscription model to where it's like, okay, this is what you get for free, but if you pay, maybe your authentication is already included. Again, without looking at it, I don't have all the answers for you today. But yeah, just kind of like what I thought. I'm sure it has something to do with safety, procedural, and what sucks too is that it's all because other people took advantage of these programs to spam people, and now we have to go through different loopholes to just send an email. But yeah, Jordan, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure this is something that's maybe slowly rolling out, and maybe that's why we don't have a whole lot of information about it at this time. But yeah, really follow the prompts. I will say, outside of email marketing, Google's doing the same thing. Just this morning, I was working in a Google ad account for a client, and all the ads, and they were spending a significant amount of money. They all their ads were paused because they had to go through a verification process. So I feel like a lot of spam is happening just kind of industry wide, and these programs, which good for them, they want to make sure that everything is safe and secure. They're just kind of going through some of this authentication process. So but yeah, great questions.
Someone always ruins it for us all.
I know, right? They need to stop doing that.
Alrighty, well, we are all caught up on the questions. I do want to
Wonderful.
thank everyone for sticking with us here and getting those answered. And thank you for joining us today. And thank you so much, Scott, for presenting. As a reminder, that email follow-up will go out this afternoon, so be on the lookout for that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Jordan, and thank you all for joining another webinar. I hope to see you at one of our next ones, and have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.